we can ask people to keep their cameras off if they're not one of the panelists for speaking.
Shireen,
Embed link is in the chat.
and Shireen, can you please assign Pablo as interpreter?
Okay, it is live on the website. You're good.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome everyone to the BTE Now and Then panel. My name is Andrew Gibson, and I'm your moderator for this afternoon. I just want to remind everyone that this is a live event. Volunteers, students, and other partners from around the globe are joining us on the BTE website. So if you don't want your camera on or you're not a panelist or a moderator, please remember to mute your mics, turn off your cameras if you don't want them on. The session will be recorded for future viewing. The session also has simultaneous translation. So everyone needs to click on the globe and select your language through that if you want that option. So a little bit about the panel today. For the first 30 to 35 minutes of the session, I'll pose a number of questions to the panelists, and then we'll have a little conversation there. And then that'll be followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, write them down throughout the session, and we'll try to revisit those through the chat, or you guys can ask them directly. We encourage attendees to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, you can use the social media platforms, including BTE tweets. You can post inspiring quotes and hashtags, also using the hashtag BTE or hashtag ABTS 2021 or hashtag BTE 30 years. I won't delay any further. So I'll turn it over to the panelists to give themselves a little bit of an introduction. So I'll start with Maya.
Hello, I'm Maya, and I study currently at the University of Manchester, first year neuroscientist. Oops, you can't see me, I didn't realize. Yeah, so I started BTE in 2000 or 2019 and graduated from it in 2020. And ever since I've left the BTE program, I still use everything from since the program, still in contact with a lot of mentors since then and till this very day.
Thank you. Jill, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jill Manning. I used to work for J&J. I now don't work for them anymore, although they wonderfully pay my pension, but still heavily involved in Bridge to Employment in the High Wycombe site in the UK. So we had our first programme that finished in 2019, but we've had a one-year programme ever since. So still very heavily involved with the programme and love it.
Thank you. Eamon, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. So I'm currently a marketing apprentice in Janssen within the cell and gene therapy group, and I graduated in 2020. And one thing that I take on from the program is to turn my failures into successes, because I really value everything they've told me to, not get put down by anything and just keep going.
Absolutely. Love that. Mary Lou?
Well, hello, everyone. Mary Lou Stewart, and I have had the pleasure of being involved in several BTE grant programs over 15 years with the Diabetes Care franchise in J&J. Very pleased to be with you today.
Thank you. Alex?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I live in San Francisco, and today I work at a venture capital firm called General Catalyst. I'm probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, BTE alum on the panel. My first BTE site was actually in 2004, sponsored by J&J with Mary Lou spearheading. So thank you, Mary Lou, at LifeScan. And that's had a tremendous impact on the rest of my life and career so far. So excited to talk about it.
It's fantastic. And lastly, Marta.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marta Gilletta. I am a BTE alumni from Wissahickon in Ambler, Pennsylvania, and I'm excited to speak with you all today. I currently work as a business development associate at FHI 360, and I look forward to fielding any of your questions and looking forward to this conversation.
Perfect. Well, Marta, I'm going to jump right into the questions, and I'm going to stay on you. You graduated from BTE Wissahickon, a Pennsylvania program, which is now a self-sustaining site, and you're currently an administrative associate at FHI 360. So, reflecting back on your BTE memories, what experiences or supports motivate you the most, and what do you think helped you get to where you are today?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Andrew. So I actually got to participate in the ABTS conference as a BTE participant as well. And I got to go to Cork, Ireland with another BTE participant and got to meet all of the lovely students involved in BTE. And it was a great experience to get to work with other students internationally on projects and get to meet them and hear about their experience and career aspirations. So that was one of the highlights from my BTE experience. But another one was the career shadow day that I got to do with our local Janssen office. And there I shadowed someone that worked in corporate philanthropy for Janssen. And that was really transformational for me, as I'd never really heard of corporate philanthropy. I knew that companies sometimes donated money to organizations, but never really knew what that looked like. And so shadowing Gwen, who was head of corporate philanthropy at Janssen at the time, was really special and eye-opening. And after graduating college from Elon University in May of 2019, I pursued work with different nonprofits who worked with corporations that donated their money to different natural disaster programs and also employee giving programs. And now I'm working at FHI 360 and working on government proposals and also helping to secure funding from the private sector with partnerships with organizations like Facebook and working to combat COVID-19 misinformation on the platform. So learning about corporate philanthropy during that shadow day with Gwen at Janssen was really impactful, and it kind of opened my eyes to all the possibilities of corporate philanthropy and corporate good. So among many great memories from my BTE experience, those are two that really stood out to me.
Thank you so much, Marta. Thank you for sharing those experiences. Okay, next I have a question for Maya. So you graduated from the BTE High Wycombe program in 2020, and you're currently a university student. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how BTE prepared you for university?
Maya, it looks like you're on mute.
Your mic.
Sorry, apologies for that. But BTE helped me to recognize a lot of my interpersonal skills and highlighted them a lot for me and developed quite a few. So like one of the main experiences that helped me specifically even towards the degree I'm studying now is during my health dilemma project, which was one of my favorite experiences at BTE. It was like an activity where we had to make decisions about health provisions that and we had like a limited budget scenario, and we had to research conditions and had to offer a coherent moral and ethical argument for and present these final conclusions to senior J&J managers, and which like obviously required strong critical thinking, decision making, and strong deductive and introductive reasoning skills, and which are all essential skills for neuroscience, which is the degree I'm studying right now, and also essential for a lot of science degree jobs and different prospects. So that was one of my favorite experiences personally at J&J. Another experience I had at J&J that helped me specifically towards university was talking to mentors, including speaking with Jill, and I was able to speak about interpersonal skills specifically that I developed during Bridge to Employment, and they helped me recognize a lot of them as well and how I would apply them to my degree. So another example is we did this program where it's called like Insight Profiles, and it highlighted like a lot of your characteristics that you don't think that was as obvious to yourself, but like through different scenarios they can highlight them. And one of the characteristics they picked up this program about me that I did during BTE was that I'm quite interested in, like, in situations, I'm quite interested to know about things that are more current, I'm interested in seeing possibilities beyond what is currently known or accepted or obvious, and which kind of feeds back into why I study neuroscience in the first place, because I always have personally constant curiosity of how like the brain works, which kind of feeds back into the degree I chose itself. So BTE essentially helped me realize what I like to study and why I should carry on doing this at university. And even through BTE program, I was able to meet a specialist at the neuroscience team at Janssen, and I was able to get a better understanding of the role, and I was able to get an insight into career prospects, and even like talk about different drug trials and different lab work, and this like even strengthened my career, strengthened my ambition for a career in neuroscience. Yeah, that's me done.
No, it's fantastic. Kind of helps you get a little bit of focus of what you wanted to do. That's,
Yeah.
So next, I'm going to go to Eamon, because you also graduated from the BTE High Wycombe in 2020. So you elected to pursue an apprenticeship. Could you describe your apprenticeship and how BTE prepared you for this experience?
Yeah, so this is a degree apprenticeship. So Janssen funds my degree as well, so I don't have to pay for any of it. BTE prepared me for it through, I guess, gaining a lot of confidence, because as Maya mentioned, we did insights profiles, and it allowed you to understand how other people worked better, and their preference and how to be approached. And I understood more about myself. And with being aware with that, I was able to apply it into my interviews and CVs. And, I was able to get in contact with mentors. So Jill helped me a lot with my application process, understanding the marketing aspect of the pharmaceutical industry. And, I just fell in love with the pharmaceutical industry ever since. And I'm really grateful to be in Janssen right now.
Okay, so with that, were there any specific like activities or opportunities or people who kind of supported you on that mission?
Yeah, so there was the medical dilemma, where we were given a dilemma and we had to choose which treatments were given to what patients. And I think, that whole chaos of it all, of what to do, it really pushed me into there. And, the mentors are really supportive, and definitely Jill.
No, that's fantastic. So next, I'll move on to Jill. So Jill, you currently coordinate a self-sustaining site. So what are the most important components of a BTE program?
Well, I think the first thing that we have is our core team. We have a passionate core team made up of, so I used to obviously be the J&J site lead, but I'm now the site lead and coordinate that. I've got colleagues currently in J&J who are passionate about it. We have Rob from the school who supports us hugely to make things happen there. So really this core team of about 6 of us, that we understand each other very well. We've now developed a way of working together really well, which helps us enormously. We also like to take feedback from the previous year. We do it slightly differently. So the 3-year program, we've condensed the best of what we felt we achieved in that we've condensed into 1 year, and we now do it for a new set of students each year. And we take feedback from previous students to say what worked well, what didn't work well, what they enjoyed, what they didn't enjoy. We try to learn from our mistakes, and we still make them. There are a group of students we still don't seem to appeal to particularly well. The young men of sort of 16, 17-year-olds in our area, we don't do particularly well with. So we're always looking at possibilities and ways that we can improve that. We also use our placement students in Janssen and in J&J, and they are an absolute godsend. They're with the company for a year, July to July, and they are clearly much closer in age to the students in the programme. But it not only it enables them to help the students, it also, they get personal development from it too, in mentoring students. And we really push them to engage highly with the students so that the relationships may carry on for longer than just the 1 year that we have the programme. So it's a combination of us learning from our mistakes, of us really challenging ourselves, but this core team of 6 passionate people who just love being able to inspire people and help them on the next step of their journey so they can go and be who and what they want to be.
That's fantastic that you guys were able to develop that. So my next question is for Alex. You were one of our first student ambassadors for the program, and you graduated from BTE Silicon Valley, the California program, in 2008. Can you tell us what you're up to today and describe the impact that BTE and ABTS had on you?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Andrew. I'm taking a 15+ year stroll down memory lane here, so things might not be super fresh, but okay. I certainly have really fond memories of the BTE program. So today I work at a venture capital firm called General Catalyst, and I've been here for about 3 years. And the very basic thing that we do is we look for founders and entrepreneurs who are using science and technology to solve some of humanity's biggest problems, whether that be, getting people access to financial services or solving really hard problems around healthcare and access to quality care. We've been around for about 20 years and, help a lot of founders build their companies that eventually commercialize a lot of science and technology into real world applications. And look, when I look back on the BTE program, I think it really had a huge impact on my life. And I can't thank the mentors and sponsors of the program enough. I'd say I would echo what, others previously said, what Maya and Eamon and Marta and others have said, which is, I think that one of the biggest advantages of the program is, providing exposure to the real world. And just for context, I grew up raised by a single mom. My mom never went to college. So I had very limited exposure to career options and sort of a murky understanding of how things I learned in school would relate to the real world. And I think the BTE program really crystallizes for me, especially my first year at Johnson & Johnson at the LifeScan site. And, I remember being able to work with some of the best scientists on, a quality control experiment we were doing. I remember being exposed to many different areas of the J&J organization and really developing an appreciation for, how many different people and roles it takes to bring a product and a consumer good to life. So I think that was a really valuable experience, and it really put into context, why the things I learned in school were incredibly valuable later on in life. And I'd also say it also helped me develop a lot of interpersonal skills, communication skills, not just with my colleagues, but also with my mentors. And, this, of course, has become a really valuable aspect of education and career development throughout my life, right? So, being able to not just come up with ideas, but also communicate them and collaborate with others, I think is really important. And I think working at LifeScan, which was one of the first jobs I ever had, actually really helped me to, develop these really critical skills. And then I'd say so I worked at LifeScan actually as a freshman in high school. And in the years after that, I had the opportunity to then work at UCSF and San Jose State and in a lot of different roles at the medical school and in the science department at these universities. And so I continued to develop relationships with mentors and people who I would keep in touch with throughout my life. And I think, if there's one of many takeaways that, I bring from the program, it's, stay in touch with your mentors, stay in touch with the people who, have given you, a lot of these opportunities. And I'd say one last thought is BTE really helped me fall in love with science and technology. And I think it ultimately impacted what I wanted to do with my career. And I went into venture capital because I wanted to be at the intersection of where science and technology meet commercialization. And, I feel really lucky. Today, I get to listen to a lot of really smart people come up with really cool ideas on how they'd like to improve society and change the world. And it's a super rewarding career. And, I think a lot of the aspects of science and technology that I learned from the BTE program, I actually still use today, which I think very few people look at my career in this way. But in the world of venture capital, what you're effectively doing is running a lot of parallel experiments in the real world, right? You're supporting founders and entrepreneurs who are testing their ideas and seeing what works. And just like any experiment, many of them will fail. Only some of them will succeed. But at the end of it, you're led to truth, which is a beautiful thing. So I have a lot to say to thank the BTE program and all of the sponsors for their support over the years.
Well, Alex, I kind of want to ask you one more question, because since you were one of the first student ambassadors for the program, were there any kind of words of wisdom that you want to kind of tell to the current student ambassadors as well as the students listening?
Yeah. I'd say be intellectually curious and be lifelong learners. I think that's the most important thing. The best advice someone gave me is this person told me we go to college and we go to school and we go to work to learn how to learn. And it doesn't sound that intuitive to me because, at first when I went to college, I thought, no, I'm here to pursue a degree. I want to graduate with a diploma or degree in my hand and I want to go to work, right? That's the objective. And I think that's a little bit short-sighted because to stay relevant and, to continue improving, you've got to continue to be hungry and a voracious learner. And that's what I would say you should always keep in the back of your mind is don't ever lose that hunger to learn, no matter how old you are or where you are in your career, because, that's probably the best gift you can give yourself.
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you, Alex. My next question is for Mary Lou. So you've launched and championed numerous BTE programs. Do you have any advice for BTE volunteers?
Gosh, well, thanks, Drew. I have been so lucky over my 22 years with J&J to have been involved with so many great students and so many great programs. So great to see Alex here this morning. He was our very first student ambassador in Silicon Valley. We decided to do something a little bit different, and it was great that Michael and Amanda allowed us to do this. But we decided we needed to launch student internships within the BTE program, and we felt that bringing students on site to work with our mentors and to actually be involved in a J&J company and work 6 weeks during the summer would be an awesome way for them to really understand the world of work. So, thanks to Michael and Lisa for allowing us to do that, and Amanda as well. I was able to help launch not only the Silicon Valley program, but we started a BTE program in Scotland, and then one also in Pennsylvania. Drew, as you know, you were involved in that program with Phoenixville High School. So I think probably the best advice I could give to individuals who are looking at launching a program is to, number one, utilize the J&J resources that are out there. We always say BTE is a family, and I believe that it truly is. I was able, and people were so open to, whenever we were looking at launching a site, to work with my other J&J colleagues in the area to find out what was working, what was important for that particular community, and that helped me quite a bit. Also, working with my executive team. I think it's so important for me as a J&J employee to make sure that my leadership team was on board. And I was lucky to have a very supportive leadership team with the Diabetes Care franchise. Something that worked really well for me that maybe some of the other sites could try is whenever we were going to launch our internship program for that year, I would draft an email from my company president, and I would send it to her and ask her to send it out to the company. And in that email, I was referencing our credo and being, supporting that third paragraph, supporting our communities. And I was also asking her to ask for support from the employees. And I think this really helped give employees the license to become involved in the program as an aside of their kind of day-to-day job. So they almost had permission, if you will, to become involved and to participate passionately. So that really worked well for me. In terms of other advice, I think communication is very important. What we would do at our site as well is make sure that our BTE program and goals, and also the BTE happenings and the successes that we had, were posted throughout the company. So we would put flyers by the copy machine or in the lobby of the location so that people coming in from outside of the company also could see the program goals and some of the activities that we were doing. It was great to have some of the students that were involved in the program also write kind of the little recap of the activity. And I think that made it even more interesting for our employees and for outsiders to read about the program. So I think executive support is very important, using your regional counterparts to find out about community needs, and then communicate. That would be my advice for individuals starting a BTE site or program.
Thank you, Mary Lou. It's fantastic. So I kind of want to open up some questions for the whole panel. Anyone jump in if you have a great example for one. But what was someone's most memorable BTE experience? If anyone has a good one for this, good story.
I can jump in. One of my most memorable experiences was the ABTS conference. I touched on this in my earlier answer, but it was super impactful getting to travel abroad, and we were tasked with working on a part of the drug development process to learn more about the process. I was on the research and development team and worked with my ABTS colleagues from across the globe to learn more about what that would look like for a diabetes drug. And I learned a lot about not only, that process and the subject matter we were learning about, but also what it means to be a good intercultural communicator and how to work with people from different backgrounds and come together to achieve a common goal. So that was really really cool to experience at such a young age. And I still keep in touch with the ABTS people that were in my conference that year, and just really grateful to J&J and BTE for that opportunity.
No, it's a fantastic experience. Did anyone else have one to share?
I'll jump in here. Today is amazing for me. Just seeing Drew and Alex both on the call. I met you both when you were very young, freshmen, sophomores in high school, and seeing how you've grown and developed is a highlight for me. I've been very lucky over my 22 years with J&J to be involved in BTE and seeing so many students such as yourselves grow and blossom because of Bridge to Employment. And I think that's just wonderful.
No, thank you, Mary Lou. I know you did a lot of work to get our cohort up and running, and that was absolutely fantastic. I know I loved my experiences in the program. So I'll jump to another one open for the panel. What supports or topics should be added or addressed in the BTE program to kind of help ensure success in today's youth? What could have made life a little bit easier for you as students?
I can answer that one. A lot of things we focus on, as well as the scientific side, is the whole thing about self-development and helping, young people to recognize things in themselves that they will have the ability, the skills, the aptitude, the attitude to be able to do things if that is drawn out of them. And for many of our students, they've not been asked those questions before. They've not had a number of people listen to the answers, which are just about them and not about anybody else wanting them to be or do something, but to be able to draw that out of them, for them to be able to explain and describe who they are and what their passions are and what their future might hold. But that real first part about, let's really talk about you as an individual and drawing that out of people and watching people change when they have that platform to be able to do that.
No, I completely agree. Like Mary Lou said, I've been in some of these programs since sophomore year of high school, and I'm a junior in college now, and definitely not the same person I was then, but you get experience to a lot of these different situations and working with J&J, and it can definitely open up your eyes to something you're looking for. So before we move on, were there any final thoughts or talking points or things the panel wants to share that they didn't get a chance to yet? No. Okay. I'll open it up to the open Q&A from everyone who's on the call. So if you'd like to raise your hand or you'd like to put a question in the chat, you can ask your questions to our panelists. So please feel free. We'll take a look. So from Jill, Alex, do you just support healthcare issues in companies in the US or any other parts?
So I assume this is a question related to what my firm does and what kinds of companies we invest in.
Yes.
So we're investors across different areas of technology. So we've got investments in software companies, fintech companies, which we kind of is a short form for financial technology companies. We've been doing a lot of work in healthcare lately. We actually, I was chuckling a little bit as I was thinking through the BTE program, because obviously the first site that I worked at was at LifeScan, which was an early pioneer in manufacturing and creating blood glucose monitors for diabetes patients. And when I joined General Catalyst a few years ago, we basically incubated and built a company called Livongo that was a connected, basically used the internet to create connected glucose monitoring devices. that would help, diabetes patients not just see trends, but also stay connected to their doctors and get access to a marketplace of experts. So we, it kind of came full circle for me when I thought about that. But we do invest across a lot of different areas of science and technology. So it's not just healthcare; it's also many other areas as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And is that just in the US, Alex, or is it further afield around the world?
No, we are active in the US, very active in Europe. We're also active in parts of Asia, particularly in India, and also Latin America, so Mexico and Brazil. So we hope to solve global problems, not just the ones here at home.
It's fantastic. So I see Julie Solomon raised her hand in the chat. Would you like to ask your question?
Sure, thank you. My question is for all the panelists. Some students who join BTE have doubts about whether BTE is for them. So sites can find that participants drop off over time. So for those of you who were BTE students, if you ever experienced any of those doubts or had friends who did, what kept you in the program? And for those of you who are not former BTE students on the panel, what strategies do you recommend to sites to keep students in the program through the 3 years? Thank you.
Anybody speak? So my perspective from is when I was at the beginning of the program, I wasn't sure if it was personally actually for me or not, but I realized I could get a lot of long-term benefits from joining BTE, and because essentially BTE is like literally like J&J's here and BTE is here, so you could get contact to Johnson & Johnson company and Janssen very easily, and having that really easy contact in like one of the biggest companies practically in the world is such an advantage. So I thought, and I knew I was curious about the scientific world, and I didn't really know my career at the time. So I thought I might as well carry on and see what comes up if I didn't even like the first session of just all of us introducing ourselves, because I knew there was gonna still be more, and and how do they say it, like good things take time, I guess. So I knew like I had to just give it a bit more of a chance, not just like from the beginning or the get-go where it was just the general kind of, oh, what are your best skills, or what are your best skills, or what do you do on your CV and stuff like that. I think it just got better after, especially like when it became more narrow and specific to you, based on what Jill said. So if they basically asking you specific questions of what do you plan to do, or what do you what are your like strengths and what are your weaknesses, and what are your strengths that you could apply on the real world, and how can you use these strengths to develop over the next 3 years, and like how to develop and advertise it to them and make it like passionate to them in the sense that they want to develop in this 3-year program. Because personally, my program was only 1 year, and half of it was online due to COVID, but I still made the most of it because I was really interested in self-development and getting the most out of the BTE experience, because BTE is such an international kind of thing, international program. I knew that I couldn't like just leave it hanging. Like I had to like try take whatever I could from the program, even though mine was only 1 year and yours is 3 years. So I suggest just making common ground between the students right at the beginning can help to make it long term, because if you find that common ground close to the time, like, and even though they might not know what they're going to do in the future, if you're saying, oh, like try and find things that are the like different suggestions of what they can do in the future, can make them like stay a bit more longer. And I suggest don't start off with the basic stuff at the beginning, trying to be like, oh, improve your CV, or like improving CV, or like general experiences. I suggest like start off with like experiences like health dilemma, or like talking about them, or like having one-to-one sessions to them, and like make them, maybe the mentors like the same mentor every time, so then they get to know each other the most. Because personally for me, I found it better to always be talking with Jill, just because I knew Jill knew me and she knew everything, kind of like, I didn't have to, in a sense, worry about reintroducing like the history of me, or like, or what do I do, or what I want to do. It's just easier when you have the same type of mentor, and which can like just make everything a bit more smoother and make it more easier. Because if you've got somebody besides you, or like telling you that you're going to see every week, and they know you well, and they could always give you that constant like, oh, so what did you do this week to like improve on your self-development for 3 years, can be a really good thing. And I even realized when I'm in university, because I have like an academic advisor and have him for 3 years, that that would be such a beneficial thing for me. Because if I had to change that every single year, that would kind of put me in a disadvantage. So from that I realized also that's such a good thing to have the same mentor throughout the years, because they could see your like career prospects aspect as well. And obviously through 3 years your mindset changes quite a lot, so you can just get to know the person way more better, especially if you can't do like 3 years, I guess 1 year is still good enough, but not like every week. So yeah, that's what I have.
No, thank you, Marta. No, thank you for highlighting. Like the mentors thing is a huge thing. Being able to build that relationship with somebody and have to value them in your journey through that is great. So I'd like to ask another one for the whole panel. So a lot of you spoke about the importance of mentoring champions. Can you share strategies to recruit J&J employees, volunteers, and keep them engaged? Alumni, can you share what helped you the most to build relationships with your mentors or career coaches? If anyone has any.
I think it was more of having mentors that were, I don't want to necessarily say closer to our age, but who were just fresh out of sixth form and they'd started university. It helped a lot because they were able to see things from our perspective, and they were able to interpret what the more senior mentors were saying to us. And like Maya was saying, it helped you, create that relationship much better as well. And, they helped you with so many things, it's things you wouldn't even realize, like how to shake your hand confidently with your, if you're going for an interview, the mentors would pick up on that. And, they were really honest and straight to the point. And that's what I really appreciated about it.
No, that's some important stuff to keep in mind.
Can I answer this question from the point of view of getting mentors to join the program? Please. I could use a really simple word, and it's just, you have to care. You have to have people who genuinely care about others and others' careers. And I know we've had some mistakes in mentors who are doing it for themselves. And that whole thing about, this is not about what I'm going to get from being a mentor in this process. It's about what the other people are going to get, and making that investment in other people, and this not being about your own development.
To build on Gil's comment as well, I think giving those mentors as I mentioned, the license to participate, making sure that their director, their vice president is supportive of them participating in this, I think is huge. So, and it also does give them the opportunity to be more visible within the organization. So maybe pointing that out to them as well. Someone just starting out, a younger person just out of university. I've had some of my best mentors be from that group of people that are new to the organization, looking to get involved, and enjoying being a mentor to someone else.
And I'll just say a couple of things too, as a reflection on my time as an alum. And that's, as a student, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, and to stay in touch with your mentors. And when I look back on, kind of my, 14, 15-year-old self, right, in high school, I think it can sometimes be intimidating to sit down with like a senior scientist at J&J and say, hey, like, can we catch up every so often and have lunch? Or, can I bounce a few ideas off of you? And the thing that I realized after my initial time at the BTE program was, I'm sure, Mary Lou, you remember this, but, a few of us were trying to put together a similar program because we were so inspired by what happened at BTE. We wanted, to tell other companies in our town to also sponsor internships for many of our other peers and colleagues. And Mary Lou and Katie Korsmeyer and a few other people who were part of the initial BTE Silicon Valley program really gave us their time and, supported us and listened. And I think it's easy to underestimate that and to think, many of these mentors won't have time for you. But, I think reaching out and asking for time and not being intimidated, because, I do think many of your mentors want to be invested in your success. And they find a lot of joy in seeing you succeed. So, just make an effort to stay in touch.
Thank you. Our next question is at me. San says he's interested in knowing my most memorable BTE experience and my journey overall. I've kind of been wrapped up in the J&J BTE family for a little while now. Like I said, since sophomore year of high school, I had my BTE program for 3 years. That was extremely fun. And there are some really fun memories of doing some of the events that they had planned for us. One of the ones I can grab off the top of my head is they always love to throw a bunch of high schoolers into team building exercises, which can go very well or very poorly, depending on, if the kids wanted to cooperate. But I always remember, they took us to a ropes course to do some team building exercises with these, this ropes course that was probably 3 stories off the ground. And we had to, get all harnessed up and try to rely on some kids we might have not completely known that well in the program and build some new friends when we were connected on a thin cable over some trees in a ropes course. So that had to be probably my favorite experience that I can remember from high school. But my path that I kind of used to get here was I obviously was a part of the BTE Phoenixville program that Mary Lou helped get started, and that was fantastic. And from there, I kind of moved on into the Pathways program. So I worked very closely with Tiffany and to try to prepare us for different Johnson & Johnson opportunities within that program. So working with them out of high school for those first 2 years kind of prepared us for, applying for J&J internships and that kind of stuff. So with those 2 years of preparation, I was able to then move into a J&J technology internship. And that was my last experience over the summer. So kind of, you don't see it now, but a lot of these programs, they build on one another, and the information you get from the start, will continuously build and grow and help you in the future. And once you see, the end goal and you make all these beautiful friendships and connections within the company, you're extremely happy with all the work you put in the past and being involved and trying to get the most out of the programs that you're in at the current moment. So all I can say is take the opportunities that are given to you through this entire experience. Many will appear, and you kind of just got to go with it and keep riding with it. So thank you, Sans, for that question. That's a little bit about my whole situation. Do we have? Oh, we have another one. What was the most challenging BTE experience for our panelists? Anyone have a good challenge?
I have one.
Please.
So it was with the ambassador program. That was one of my biggest challenges. And even though it's like a simple application process, you apply, you answer the questions as truthfully as you can. It was a big challenge for me because I didn't become an ambassador. And I think for the first few days after I found out I didn't get it, I really took it to heart, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't get it. I'm a failure. I don't know why. And then the great thing about Bridge to Employment is that they will always make you, you know, just take on what you've learned from something. Even if it's success, failure, you have to learn something from it. And with that, I learned it's like the simple things, how to answer a question properly and truly be myself. And I took on from that challenge and that failure, and I became head girl at my school. And, you know, one of the not biggest failures at my time, but I saw it as the biggest failure at the time, helped me for my greatest success. And, you know, every challenge, you always learn something from it.
Now, I have to say, I didn't get accepted to be an ambassador either, and that one killed me because I wanted to go on that. I believe it was, it was somewhere in Portugal my year, or something like that. Or I was just, that made me. I didn't have a great bounce back like that, but you know, it made me mad for a little while. It hurt. Okay, it's fine. Do we gotta have any more questions for our panelists coming through here? Okay, well, if any others, I'll look through the chats. Oh, were there any challenges for our site coordinators that really stick out in your mind?
Hundreds.
Well,
Short
okay.
question, long answer.
So tell us the explosive ones.
Mary Lou's alluded to it. And another question that came in about people that drop out.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the people leading the program, you know, not feeling that you are a complete failure yourself because of people who've dropped out and why they've dropped out and why they've made the choices that they have made. So that would be one of them, about not being able to keep everybody engaged and motivated in the program. And I think all that you can do is keep this team of people that you work really well with, that work together, and keep looking at what did we do wrong? You know, why didn't we engage with all of the people that we thought we were able to engage with, and what do we need to do differently? So we always think it's not them, it's us, and there's something that we're missing. So it's all the time keeping looking, and it's so sad to see people that you've seen a spark of something in them, that you know there is something there, and then they choose to not carry on with the program, and you don't get the opportunity to work with them is a huge disappointment. But having to have that internal and with our core team of saying, you know, yes, we may have failed this individual, but can we learn something from that we don't do it again? So we are constantly asking ourselves those questions about what could we have done differently that would be better.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely think so many of those, just thinking back to high school with my BTE program, there were so many of those kids who kind of saw that opportunity there and kind of saw where you could take it and grow as an individual and get that experience and kind of ran with it. And I know a lot of the kids that stayed in the program the whole time that loved their experiences, but there was also a lot of kids that was just like, they couldn't really connect with them. And you know, you can't do a lot in that situation if they can't kind of see where this can lead them in their future and the opportunities that are given to them. But you know, for the kids that stuck with it and kept grabbing on those opportunities, you know, everyone got so much out of it, and I think they're really proud of that.
I think another note too is to be able to utilize the evaluators. I know the evaluators that we worked with in our program were super helpful. If we had students that were not engaging, the evaluators would meet with them at the end of each year, try to figure out, you know, what the mentors and coordinating people were doing wrong, and then they would give us feedback and suggestions as well. So possibly working with your evaluators as well to get ideas on how to change it up, or maybe what the students are looking for, so that you can help morph the program for that group of individuals.
Mm-hmm. We have another question from Amanda. She said, what most motivated you to finish BTE's year 3 at the same time that that the pressure of entering in a university soon started to come, if that happened to you? I can think in my experience, a lot of our people who were collecting feedback from our program and that kind of stuff really kind of tailored it to the kids we're looking for. Obviously, a lot more information about college admissions and getting into university and how that looks to employers and recruiters and that kind of stuff. So they kind of tailored a little bit more of the information my senior year of high school to that. And, while we were nervous about applying to universities and doing a lot of work outside of the program, they kind of like switched their gears and kind of supported us a little bit more instead of, adding more stuff outside of the classroom. We were trying to do that kind of stuff, which was a super awesome thing that, the students could obviously tell that, the people who were doing the surveys were directly listening to us and wanted to make changes as the students felt that they needed support in different areas. So I never saw it as something, that added more pressure. It kind of helped us in the overall, which I really liked. Did anyone else have experiences going into college?
I had a similar experience in a sense that after my first year, because obviously my program's not 3 years like yours is, but I was still in contact with Jill, which is my mentor, and I still use that in a sense to gain like work experience to do with the neuroscience industry, and I still ask for loads of advice to do with my university application and what I should do at the time. So in a sense, joining the BTE program never felt like a burden. It felt like just having something there that was helping me going through the application process of university, and now I'm actually here reflecting back on it. It's actually a blessing that like I actually had if I didn't join it in the sense of the beginning of before that year, I would have known that it would help me in this way, but now I know it helped me this way. So it's actually such a advantage to have when applying to uni, and because it could help you. It just shows that you're doing something else that not everybody else is doing, and it makes you gain those experiences that not everybody can gain them. So it just puts you at an advantage in the sense that you have more knowledge in certain ways or in yourself about self-development, or either if your career, just because I did neuroscience, because there was other people that do like that are not as science degrees that still benefit from it, but it makes you learn another way that not everybody else gets to learn from. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So before I start to wrap, is there anything else our panelists would like to say? No? Okay, well, I'd really love to thank our panelists and everyone participating for sharing their experiences today. I know this was fantastic, having everyone share a little bit of their experiences for their BTE programs and supporting them along the way. I'd also like to thank our BTE volunteers and students from around the world that are watching the event on the BTE website. If you really enjoyed this panel, please stay tuned for the BTE Best Practices panel this evening at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. This will feature more amazing BTE alumni, some site coordinators and champions. So up next, we have 2 breakout discussion sessions focused on 2 of the FHI 360's new e-learning modules, positive youth development and the importance of role models. Please note that simultaneous interpretation is only available